You're never gonna believe this, but I blew up my race car. Over the course of the past year, I've been building my twin-charged, also on nitrous, 1998 Geo Metro. I did a rally car build with it, and it's been super fun. It's been a really fun build. I did a bunch of great rally practice out in the open desert, and I got to race it once at Las Vegas's SCCA Autocross round 8. I believe it was. That video just went up on the channel, so definitely go check it out. It's a good one. Unfortunately, I also didn't get the catastrophic engine failure on film. As you can probably hear in my voice, I'm not that upset about blowing my engine. See, I am a big enthusiast of all old Suzukis. I have had a ton of different Metros. I've had a bunch of trackers and Suzuki sidekicks, and I'm just really into old Suzukis. And I had 2 trackers. One of them was my daily driver tracker, and the other one was kind of my rock buggy 4-wheel drive tracker. I wasn't really using my rock buggy tracker very often. If I was gonna do any off-roading, I would mainly use my daily driver one, and so it was just kind of sitting. So I decided to clean it up and put it on Marketplace. I got a really cool offer from a cool guy named Ryan, who wanted to trade me a CBR600RR-swapped Suzuki quad. Unfortunately, the quad had a bad clutch. With the fresh clutch in there, I instantly cracked the oil pan. I'm not a quad guy, but I am a race car guy. Did you ever notice on my website there is this like cool beginning video of me drifting a corner in my backyard in a dune buggy? You ever wonder what happened to that dune buggy? It was on the channel a lot, and then it just stopped being on the channel. The goal with that buggy was always to convert it into a track weapon type, half motorcycle powered, half Geo Metro parts combined into one crazy build. On paper, it seems pretty easy. Here's my plan. Find the 3 donor vehicles to be able to make the build happen. From there, cut the back half off of the buggy, cut the front half off of the ATV, weld them together, and then take parts off of the Metro to make the rest of it work. So let's do that. So I'm gonna start the build by stripping down the ATV. My plan is to cut it right at where the frame widens and the engine is mounted. Seems simple enough. So I removed all the front suspension arms, the steering column, and just grabbed my angle grinder and started hacking off pieces. You can see in the background, I've already cut the back half off of the buggy. That was one of the first things that I did of this, so I'd be able to get accurate measurements. This was a pretty big undertaking to do by myself. This was actually very difficult, so I'm really grateful I have an engine hoist to be able to make that happen, because if I didn't, boy, would that be a headache. It's a little bit of an update time. So we did a ton of work yesterday, and we're actually doing pretty good. I do have to make some adjustments to the plan though. So the radiator is hitting this cage right here, which this cage isn't doing anything. So I'm gonna slice off this cage and probably actually add it to the bottom of the engine so that my oil pan is protected. I'm not positive on that though. I'm gonna cut that, and then unfortunately I do have to cut this bar. So what I'm gonna do is slice the bar here and here, move everything forward so that this bar can attach to this bar, and then probably string this bar through, because without the radiator right there, I can move whatever breather this is back a little bit and then send this bar through so it still hooks on the top. But the important brace right here is this one. Everything else is kind of secondary, but I do really like this hook. So I'm gonna try and hook this around this bar, but I have to cut some stuff and move this all forward and see where I can actually put this bar. And then we should be actually pretty good to get close to actually securing this to the buggy. Good stuff. Thank you, Randy.
Write details of Jeanette's life into the same character.
Right, man.
Shut up and keep dancing. Later, Jeanette is shooting a scene.
4.5 to 4.5.
For the episode.
I'm gonna just tack it here and then drop it down a little bit so I can twist.
And during the third take,
Try it.
she has a full.
Hello. So, a ton of work has been done to the new race car, as you probably can see, and I haven't filmed a ton of me doing this. A lot of off-camera factors have kind of contributed to that. As you can see, I am in a completely new garage. Not only am I in a completely new garage, I'm in a completely new house. So I've been working on the moving into the new garage, and if you don't mind me breaking the fourth wall, a video creator here for a moment, my mother had an emergency surgery, and I live on the opposite side of the country from all of my family, so I've been trying to navigate my mother's recovery and the surgery, and you know, everything went good with the surgery, but the recovery is actually more difficult than the surgery itself. If you've ever been through like a major emergency surgery, you know that the recovery process is a lot more nerve-wracking than the actual surgery itself. And so I've been building my race car as kind of a decompression moment where I can just kind of put the stresses of the day into a creative kind of project, and I am really proud of how it's been coming out. We've had some parts come in today to be able to actually finish the build to where it is drivable. And like, guys, I'm sorry I haven't filmed as much of this build as I have wanted to film. I've been on camera since I was 12 years old, and I'm 34, and this is the first time in my life that I have ever kind of taken a little bit of time for myself to build something that wasn't fully on camera. It's weird because making content for so long, I felt this like guilt while I was building this of like, I'm missing shots, but like mentally I didn't feel strong enough to be like bubbly on camera and be like, hey guys, what's going on? And like smash on a glass table and tell you about vape coils or whatever. I only have one parent, and to have my mother hit with emergency surgery on top of me moving an entire house to another house and then getting the old house ready for the new people to move into it, and it's just been a lot. So I apologize. I am still like a person. You probably know me from videos or music or art, and I am like an actual person. So I apologize about that, but we are back on track for filming the rest of this build. Also, like, everything that I've done hasn't been super interesting to watch. Like, you would just watch me cut this pipe at a 45-degree angle, and then I weld it into place. And it's just gonna be a time lapse anyways. I'm sure you wanna see more interesting stuff. So the last time you saw the build, I was still joining the ATV half to the Dune Buggy half, which now they are one. So some big changes have been made to actually make this all work and make sense. We have one massive weld down the bottom, which you guys saw me do, which wasn't enough to support the weight of this, and it just kind of sandwiched in the center. So we have so much structural bracing now, and I did all of this, hours and hours of cutting and welding and just figuring it out. And all of these were cut by hand with just an angle grinder and a stick welder and many hours of time. I invested in a Harbor Freight pipe bender, so I bent these little
arms down the bottom here on either side. I cut the original rear hoop out of it because it was way too short and it was just kind of resting on the fuel cell. So I cut that, extended it quite a bit, and then I'm using some C-channel to catch it. Now that's welded to the Buggy's kind of cockpit, and it's welded to the C-channel, and then it is welded to the subframe of what used to be the ATV and also bolted. Then you have kind of like a double roll cage structural brace thing. You have a bar running here to the main kind of breakout point of the ATV's frame. You have the inner bars that go down. This bar right here is going to hold the radiator. You have these two big bars that tap into everything else, and it all kind of supports itself in opposing forces. Obviously, because I had to extend the back of the Buggy, I had to extend the roll cage. And I really didn't like how the stock roll cage was, because the goal is to build body panels for this and to build a windshield and all that stuff. So I decided to make a more simple and upright windshield design that's still super safe, and I would be able to actually put glass into it. With the old roll cage, if I was to put any kind of plexiglass, Lexan, whatever in there, my hand would be rubbing up against it because of how the angle is to go back, because it was never designed to have any kind of plexiglass or anything in there. So now this more upright design gives me a few inches of space for my hand to be able to actually move. We have the headlights out of my Geo Metro, which are just kind of sitting there because I'm brainstorming on how I want to do the body panels for this. This will have an entire custom body that we're going to be 3D printing and fiberglassing, and I want to bring over the Geo Metro headlights from my original race car. To get a seat to work in here was really difficult. This is a seat out of a Can-Am like side-by-side, and I really like this seat, but how it sits is really wide. I am still working out the shift linkage down here. Now you may notice this big tube right here. This is a piece of dryer tubing for like venting a dryer. I'm going to be using that to go into two Bad Neighbor Supply Co. thrash chargers on either side, and doing a similar supercharger setup to what was in the Geo Metro race car, but this will be dual superchargers on either side, just ported right into the intake. It's going to be really sick. I also had to pretty substantially cut the top part of the ATV frame. I noticed that the CBR engine wasn't bolted in on there anywhere anyways, and it was just preventing so much room for seats and room for other stuff, so I cut the crap out of it, and now it looks pretty good. I'm planning on putting a battery box down in this space right here. I have a motorcycle battery right here, but I do want to run all kinds of lights and a Raspberry Pi to control the ECU and all kinds of stuff. And so I think a car battery would be more appropriate, like a small one, than a motorcycle battery, because I don't want to stress out the stator. But for right now, I have a tablet head unit sitting in here just to kind of get an idea of what I'm going to be doing with this smart stuff. The plan is to have like a 7-inch touchscreen and run it on a Raspberry Pi. And then the dash from the CBR will go in that spot right there. Hydro e-brake, longer shifter that comes up better. And then back here we have the wing off of my Metro rally car, which looks really, really nice. The shocks are active too, so it can take in any dampering or anything like that. This also might trigger you because it triggers me. We have different sized wheels. So we have some small, I think those are 10s in the rear, and we have some 12s in the front. We have all matching tires that are on the way. So this will have 22-inch kind of all-terrain wheels all around, so it will be nice and flat and balanced. But for right now, it looks goofy with the mismatched wheels.
So at this point, we're actually at the home stretch of the build. The new tires came in, the new radiator came in. My friend Randy and I spent 10 hours of our lives working to get a shifter to work. I have this really crazy convoluted shifting setup in order to make it work. Things that still need to be done right here, right now as I film, is get the clutch cable together and get the throttle cable together, mount the seats, mount a passenger seat, and fix something with the brakes, and then we're good to drive. But the buggy actually starts right now, which is so exciting. But on the next video that you will see on the channel here, the race car will be starting and hopefully driving, and you get to see all the cool new parts that went on it. I'm also going to be doing DOT lighting on it so I can drive it on the street. I'm planning on doing a windshield, and like I mentioned a second ago, full custom body panels. So make sure you hit subscribe. Please like this video if you enjoyed this video, and also click over to my website, lightdesignsllc.com. That really helps keep these builds going, helps keep the channel going, and thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you that are watching my videos. This is so much fun to film this stuff and build this stuff, and I'm grateful you're along for the journey. Okay, bye.